and we are live on the Art of Dubbing Shared Secret, and this is now the episode number 14. So we have Claude who joined. Claude, can we see you?
Yes, Jacques, I can hear you.
I can see your desk, but I don't see you.
Let me put on my camera. My camera is on. Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, I see the desk. I don't see you. I see some wood.
What do I need to do now?
Well, I mean, if you don't have a camera, we can talk. If you have a camera,
I have a camera.
But I see the wood. I see.
Okay, I'm here.
Now we are talking.
Yeah.
We are always resolving the technical problems. This is our job anyway. So,
It's our job.
so everybody, I repeat, Art of Dubbing Shared Secret, episode number 14 today. And we have the pleasure to be with my colleague Claude Mwamba from Lagos, Nigeria. So, Claude is the general manager of our facility, TransPerfect facility in Lagos. And today we are going to focus a little bit more on what's going on in Africa, in Nigeria. And Claude has a very interesting background because he comes from Congo. So he's a francophone, anglophone, Nigeriophone. I don't know how you say that.
everything
works.
Yeah,
So
everything.
let us tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and after we'll talk a little bit more about the subject of the day.
If I start talking about myself, is enough to cover this event. I would need 2 extra hours to complete it. well, let me try and summarize. Basically, I started flirting with the microphone in churches and then conferences. Because of my background, I was interpreting messages and programs into French for the Francophone community in Nigeria here. And there is quite a huge Francophone community. Remember, Nigeria is bordered by only Francophone countries, from Benin Republic to Niger to Chad, and Cameroon. They are all Francophone countries. So you have a lot of and huge influx of those Francophones here. So, and they are virtually in every sphere, every strata of life. So, so I got to be known as the guy who could, translate, interpret, doing such things. And then I was also hosting events as a bilingual MC, because of the large Francophone community. So you have a lot of such events in Lagos here in Abuja. So that's how my name, my reputation began to be built. And then I joined the advertising world. Again, I went to adapt a campaign that was in French into English. And then at that time, that agency was looking for an international account manager to manage the international account. So when I finished adapting the campaign, the creative director was so impressed, and then told the chairman then, I said, this guy is very good. Can't we have him here? He said, well, we'll be looking for such a person. So that's how I got my first job. And then really basically everywhere I've been, it's been a bit of a mix of this French and English that has created, that path for me until now.
Your native language?
I went into movie.
Your native language is French?
Back home, Congo is also a multicultural and multilinguistic country. You have a lot of languages, just like Nigeria, over 200, 500. My mother tongue is called Chiluba. I grew in an environment where Lingala is spoken. French is the official language in so by the time I was 12, I was speaking about 3, 4, 5 languages. And then, yeah, so when I moved into Nigeria, so I added English, and then I speak, little of a bit of this, a bit of that in Nigeria here. So, Nigeria is a very big country too, with a lot of languages and multicultural,
This
multilinguistics, and all
is
of that.
this is great. I grew up in France before going to America, and pretty soon in my life. And in France, they speak French. That's basically it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah,
so it's great to see all these countries who now are going to be more involved in dubbing and juggling with all these languages. I think it's a huge potential. This is great.
it is.
So
It is.
let's talk about the dubbing, because our students are more interested about dubbing, obviously. So what's the status of the dubbing industry in Nigeria, and what are the main projects you do? Is it English to languages from your country? Is it local production? Because I know Nollywood is producing a lot of movie, but we'll talk about that later. So what is the status of the dubbing industry in Nigeria?
In Nigeria, the dubbing industry is emerging, I
Yeah,
would say. There is a company here called Forever. They've been doing that in their own way. They dub into French, and then in Swahili, and then in Lingala, which happens to be one of the languages back home. So they have a channel on YouTube for Lingala, and then that. So apart from that, we are Transperfect, probably the second company here. But again, we are much better because we are better equipped and we have better processes and all of that. So because of the English language, you have a very huge internal market.
yeah,
So Nigerians were kind of contented with what they had. But what is happening now, because of the numerous languages in Nigeria, you have the official language is English, and then you have 3 official languages in Nigeria, which are Hausa, Igbo, and Yoruba. So you have about 3 or 4 different movie subsectors in Nigeria. So the Kano industry, Hausa, it's an industry on its own. Their movies are in Hausa. Then you have the Yoruba speaking people, the film industry in Yoruba. So it's a film industry on its own. And we have the Igbo and English. So what is happening now is a lot of people are beginning to move from Yoruba to English. For instance, we just dubbed a film called Jagun Jagu. It was officially, or it was shot in Yoruba, fully in Yoruba. And then, because it's such a beautiful story, we dubbed it into English, and it was well accepted.
great.
Well accepted. So we have such project like that.
And who
Yeah.
who is watching this movie? Is it the expat community speaking English? Who is who is watching the dubbed version of these local movies?
Basically, a lot of it is coming from Netflix. Netflix, when the license to them, they want to have it. They saw that the story is beautiful in Yoruba, but such a story can be enjoyed in other languages, and then so they come to us. Yeah, then we dub it into other languages. We had Black Book, for instance, which is in about 32 languages around the world. So it's actually for the world audience. And you have a huge diaspora, Nigerian diaspora, so they are there eager to watch their movies coming from home.
This
Yeah.
is true that the OTTs like Netflix, Amazon, etc., are really pushing the English dubbing, because the English dubbing, it's like in Nigeria. In America, the dubbing is an emerging business. Started like 7, 8 years ago, not more than that. I spent 21 years at Warner Brothers doing dubbing worldwide. I probably did 2 projects in English. But
Wow.
since I left, of course, we have more and more projects in English, and the Americans are learning how to do dubbing, which is a new thing for them, but they learn very fast, obviously, and like all the rest. And I'm glad to see that in Nigeria it's the same thing. Now, I know, obviously, our friends online don't probably know that, but the Nigeria facility is well linked with our Kenya facility. So,
Absolutely.
what is the relation between? Because you are the general manager of the Nigeria facility in Lagos, you work a lot with our facility in Nairobi. What is the link, and how do you work with the Kenyans? What is the relation there?
The relationship is fantastic. Basically, most of the movies coming from the OTT platforms, they come through Kenya. So when they are requiring Nigerian English, for instance, they are requiring Yoruba or Hausa, probably Igbo. Naturally, so you come down here. So we have the actors here, the voice actors here, and then so we do the dubbing, audio description, first narrative in our studios here, and then we send back to Kenya for mixing, and then delivery to the client. So that's basically what we do here. So we serve the Kenyan office for the languages that we have in Nigeria here.
Great. So tell me, is the dubbing concentrated in Lagos, or is it a little bit everywhere in Nigeria?
No, it's concentrated in Lagos. Basically, when you're talking about Nollywood, it really is more of Lagos. And then, as I said, the Yoruba and the Hausa, you have the Ibadan axis for the Yoruba, then you have the Kano axis for Hausa. But basically, for now, most of English the work, is done in Lagos. So once you're in Lagos, you can get almost everything that you want to get.
Yes, and probably because obviously we didn't, as probably everybody on the call on this podcast know right now, Transperfect is developing Studio Next, our remote cloud recording platform, which is also used in the Dubbing Academy. So a lot of people know about Studio Next. This will be an interesting development, and like in other countries where the dubbing is really concentrated in one city or two cities, or maybe three cities like Germany, Spain, Italy, you don't have more than 2-3 cities doing dubbing. Well, the remote recording allows us to go and find actors somewhere else. So that will be the next mission of your facility, to try to see which actor we can reach from to do dubbing with Studio Next, with our platform. What is approximately, just a rough idea, the size of the pool of actors in Lagos? How many actors do you have? Approximately.
No, it's quite a lot. No, they go in thousands. Lagos as a city, itself has about over 20 million people.
No.
And then you have, 20 million, over 20 million.
My goodness.
Then you have over roughly 60, 70 radio stations, and they all have broadcasters, Then you have
But
10, 20, 40.
I'm talking about dubbing actors.
Yeah. So the pool of dubbing actors, they come from the broadcasting industry and from Nollywood. So most of them, they play around the creative industry. So we have a lot of Nollywood actors. The people like Segun Arinze is a known dubbing actor as well. People like Moses Isaac is from Nollywood. Is also a well-known dubbing actor. So we pull a lot from there, and we also pull a lot from the broadcasting industry.
And what about translators and directors? Because that's also, in
Yes.
the dubbing chain, you have the director, start with the translator, and after director and actors. I'm not
Yes.
talking about the sound engineer and the technical aspect, just talking about the creative people. So what about translator and directors?
Translators, we recruit these ones from the academic world. They are there. But, these people are not like professional. They've gone through the Debian Academy. So people who are talented, who understand some of these languages. Some of them read. Some of these are like they read Yoruba in school. They read English and theater arts and mass com, and then they developed some of these talents over the years. So you see, there's a lot of raw talents, and which just requires a bit of refinement and all of that.
Of course, and I mean the dubbing academy doesn't cover the translation part of the process, but it's probably something that we'll need to think about, to introduce the translator to the dubbing world, which is very different because when you have to translate for lip sync for live action or animation. In Europe, you have the translators are even specializing. You have the translators that are good for comedy, translators that are good for live action, translators that are good for drama, and so it's important. It's like a musician. I'm a musician. I play jazz. If you ask me to play rock and roll, it's not really it's not my cup of tea.
Your thing.
So I won't do it well. So the translators are the same way, same as a musician. So you specialize in one kind of entertainment content.
Yeah. So that's true. So what we have here is people basically do a bit of everything at the moment. There's no such specialization. Anyone who is a good translator would want to be also like a good voice actor, would want to direct as well. So they do a bit of everything. So I think as time goes on, probably with the advent of the Dubbing Academy, and in a place like this, I'm sure because people are eager to learn. You have a lot of people who are independent, and so because they're independent, they have time to do a bit of this, a bit of that. So once there's once there is a place where they can learn and hone their skills, I can bet you that that would be a very, very good opportunity for them to seize.
So what you just said is very interesting. You said people are independent, meaning. So my question is there enough work in Nigeria to have a professional pool of talent like we have, let's say, in France or in Spain or in Germany, where there is so much dubbing to do, but the dubbing actors are professional. That's all they do. You have other countries like Scandinavia where you dub only kids content. So most of the time, these people come from theaters, come from radio, etc. So it's a little bit different. So are they professional or they are just?
As I said, we pull a lot of dubbing actors from Nollywood, from broadcasting. So these are people who have been flirting the microphone for some time. But in terms of like, okay, now you are a dubbing actor, it requires a bit more of specialization, more of training. Now, I told you that you have like 3 movie industries in Nigeria alone. You have the Yoruba, which the Yoruba the Yoruba speakers are roughly 30 million, 40 million. The Hausa speakers are about like 60 million. That's like the population of France. That's the whole country. So the movies they do in Hausa can easily be dubbed into English. And then the movies done in Yoruba can easily be dubbed into Hausa or English. And that's vice versa. So the thing is about creating it. And with the OTT platforms now, and taking content from, they don't care whether it's in English or not because they know we are there. So the more such content is being taken by these platforms, the better it is for the domain actors, and then so the better it is for them to hone their skills and being able to adapt to new genres of of movies, be it comedy or tragedy, whatever it is. So it's important that if we are here, then we can actually drive the business. So it's our it based on us to drive that process, to ensure that people begin to see that they need to to acquire skills to be able to fit into the ecosystem.
This is great. So just one little post to say hi to some friends in California. Valentina, my ex-colleague, is sending us a note. So big hugs to California. I see Julia, my daughter, is also joining. Maybe she's going to be an actress soon. We'll see. But hello, everybody. And I see more and more people are coming. This is great. So let's talk a little bit about Nollywood and how the relation between Nollywood and, like you said a little bit, what can Nollywood bring to the picture? Because I see that they are producing approximately 2,000 movies a year. This is insane. This is huge, and
massive.
And they generate. I saw that on the news. They generate approximately 1.5 billion of revenue a year. So this is a huge industry for Nigeria.
It is massive. And Nollywood employs thousands, if not millions, of people. A lot of dependents. A lot of Nollywood has created a lot of awareness about Nigeria. Nollywood is exported today. A lot of people speak Igbo in Congo. A lot of people speak Pidgin in Kenya because of Nollywood. Is that big? And then a lot of people have adopted the Nigerian way of speaking, of living, because of Nollywood. So it's a massive industry. It's a massive industry. So
I can see that it's as big as Bollywood, which also creates approximately 2,000 movies a year. So when you think that Hollywood is generating only around 200, 300 movies a year, so 10 times less, but their revenue is huge because obviously the American movies are seen all over the world, which is not the case for the Indian or for the Nigerian. But what can it bring to the dubbing community? Do you see that? Do you foresee that more and more dubbing in different languages will be needed? Because these people want. I mean, a lot of people in Africa want to see these movies. I mean, these 2,000 movies, how many are dubbed? Because 2,000 is a lot. So
it's a lot. So let me put it this way. A lot of these actors actually do speak. They are generally university graduates, so they speak English and then one or two mother languages. You have actors who are of Igbo extraction, but from time to time you see them, acting in Yoruba movies. So they speak Yoruba. So Nollywood has a lot to bring to the table if the dubbing academy or we are very much on ground. And then, I told you that there's a movie, Jagu Jagu, that was shot in Yoruba, but we put it in English. That movie can be in Hausa, and then people will enjoy it. So you will need voice actors who speak very well Hausa to be able to do that. And because of the huge population in these linguistic communities, you can easily, within Nigeria alone, you can have a movie in Hausa and being enjoyed by 40 other million people within Nigeria without even having gone outside Nigeria. So that's how big it is. That's how big it is.
So just to have an idea, how many people are in Nigeria? The population in Nigeria, because it's already 20 million.
Over 200 million. Over 200 million. Over 200 million.
200 million. Oh my goodness, this is huge. When you think France is like 70, Germany 80, so it's like more than twice Germany. It's really big.
It's like the whole of Western Europe.
Absolutely.
And again, these figures are estimates, really. I mean, when last was a census conducted here, like over how many years ago? Almost 20 years ago. So these are estimates. So we can as well be about 250 million
Yeah, and
people.
there is a lot
You know,
of growth of
if it,
population in Africa. So yeah, very
yes,
fast.
yes, and they're all young people. Most of them are very
Of
young
course.
people.
Listen,
70%, yeah.
so that's very interesting what you just said. A lot of people are speaking a lot of languages, and you have a mixture of languages that doesn't exist in countries like Germany or Italy or France or most of the European countries. So, I know that at the very beginning of the dubbing, in the 30s, 40s, Hollywood started to do dubbing for mainly for France and Germany because they were the two main clients at the time. So Hollywood started to dub the movies in France and Germany. But the first dubbing, the very first dubbing, were just created by the same actors, and they were redoing a second version, and they were if they were speaking phonetically, it was not very nice, but they didn't have, at this time, the concept of dubbing, meaning taking the same picture and putting another sound on the picture. So my question to you is, in Nigeria, because all these people speak so many languages, all the movies, the 2000 movie that you do a year, are they done only in one language, or can they be done in different languages?
No, I mean, that's a very good question there.
Thank
Do you know
you.
that it's about 50% of those movies are done in English? 46% of those movies. The rest of the movies, they're done in Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo. So you have 20% done in Hausa or
But
15,
but
another 10 to 20%.
but
Yeah.
each movie is done in only one language.
No, 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 no. The movies, I mean, shot in. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, but you have some movies that they're also mixed.
That's
You know,
that's my
in the same
question.
movie,
Yeah.
people speak English and then Pidgin and Yoruba and a bit of that. So you have that. So, but some movies, people speak. They don't speak just one language like that. You know, we start in English and then we can go into Pidgin. And if both of us understand Yoruba, then we'll get into Yoruba, then we'll come back again. So there's this fluidity of languages, if
It's
you like. You
it's a
understand?
little bit
So
like the English for the Hindi. You know, we start a
yeah,
sentence in Hindi and we finish in English. So they call
absolutely.
that the
Yeah. So
English.
in English, yeah. So among students, for instance, I mean, they can start a conversation in English, and then they'll get into a Pidgin, and then some expression in Hausa or Yoruba. For instance, we are talking. I can say no wahala. Wahala is no problem. Wahala is from Hausa. No is English. So I say no wahala. So there's no problem. So you see, you have such expressions,
And everybody
getting
understands.
into, and everybody understand what it means. Yes.
This is fantastic to have such a fluidity of languages. This is great. This is remind me when I was working at Warner Brother, and and um, and I have one of my ex-colleague there on the call who is Ukrainian Russian and Ukrainian raised in Russia, and I remember when I hired her, my boss was telling me, "You hire whoever you want as long as they can speak at least two languages."
Mm.
And she was absolutely right, because the fact of speaking at least two languages and sometimes more make you think faster, be able to be very flexible. You can jump from one idea. I noticed that you have a lot of flexibility and fast ideas when you juggle like that with
No, but
languages.
scientifically, it's proven that people speak more than two languages are smarter. It's good when you move like
Absolutely.
that, with a lot of fluidity. Yeah, in different languages.
Absolutely.
It's quite interesting.
This is great.
Mm.
In my house, I'm French, my wife is Italian, and my two kids were born in Los Angeles. So the kids speak English, speak Italian with Mama, speak French with me, and when we are all at the table, well, you have three languages that are going on like that, and we are used to that, and we are okay.
My wife is Nigerian, so I am from Congolese, and then the kids are Nigerian, Congolese, and then so there is a bit of French in the house, English, and then when my grandmom, my mother-in-law comes, there is a bit of Igbo in the house, and then neighbors speak Yoruba. So it's very complex in terms of linguistically. It can be interesting, really.
This is fantastic. So, because this podcast is for the Dubbing Academy. So let's talk a little bit about the Dubbing Academy, and what is the future of the Dubbing Academy in Africa? And we have a comment. Yes, from Parakram. I have seen such thing over India. Yeah, more than 3 languages. Obviously, India is also a country with a lot of languages.
A lot of
Absolutely.
languages,
So,
yeah.
because right now the Dubbing Academy it's an online course, obviously. It's in French, in English, and in Spanish. Do you think that having the academy in French and in English is okay for your region, or do you think we need to localize a little bit more the academy and have more languages? How do you foresee that, the future?
I think we can start. We can start with the English. Yeah, I mean, for the region, we start with the English and French. The French-speaking countries. But as time goes on, I think we may have to localize it. As I said, I mean, the Hausa community is a country on its own. 60 million people, speaking the same language. And then remember, Hausa is spoken not just in Nigeria, but Niger, Chad, northern part of Benin Republic. They all speak Hausa as well.
Yeah.
And then when you come to Yoruba, it's not just Nigeria. You also are part of Benin, Republic of Benin. They speak Yoruba as well. So it would be nice to begin to see. So we start with English, and then how we can also localize it, for the local people.
This is great.
Depending on the success,
Yes.
we get here.
And talking about VAD Academy, the dubbing, etc., and that is interesting for our students. Which kind of projects are mainly dubbed in Nigeria for this market? Because on 2,000 movies that you do a year, you don't have only live action. You probably have animation, drama, comedies. So what people like in your country, and what is dubbed mainly?
Really, most of Nigerian movies that are successful are generally comedy. Generally comedy.
Really?
Yeah, generally. I mean, the recent one, The Tribe of Judah, grossed over 1.5 billion. That's the highest grossed movie in Nigeria ever.
Really?
Yeah, it's massive. You can Google it. The Tribe of Judah. So they are generally, comedy, and people do enjoy that. So that could be the starting point. That's the low hanging fruit, if you like, and then from there we can evolve into other things. Yeah.
And do you have a lot of animation?
Yeah, animation is there. You have a lot of animators. I've attended a couple of events. It's still growing. It's still growing. I'm not too sure that's where we want to be for now. I think the Nollywood and the movie industry provides enough material for us to start with.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So do you think, let's talk about one side of the Dubbing Academy, which is Studio Next, as you know, our cloud recording platform. I was invited to speak at the ISC, a big conference in Barcelona a few weeks ago, and my topic was about remote recording. So they invite me to talk about remote recording, and I was not talking about Studio Next specifically, but the concept of cloud recording, to be able to stream the content, to be able to do it from anywhere in the world. Do you think that could be a big game changer for not only for Nigeria, because even if you have 20 million in Lagos, on 200 million, you still have 180 million people that could be, and you could
Absolutely.
find actors a little
Absolutely.
bit everywhere, not only in Lagos.
Yeah.
So could
Absolutely.
this be a game changer in Nigeria and in Africa?
Definitely. I mean, let me just tell you, we have serious traffic jams in Lagos, for instance. So, and a lot of people, a lot of voice actors are beginning to have some facilities in their houses, and so when they I mean, I do some work, personally because of my French, and I do it from home, and then I send, from time to time. I don't have to go to a studio,
Yeah.
for instance. And then so you send it, yeah, and then it's taken from there and then mixed in the studio, and then it's gone. So imagine if that is, we have that facility and people are trained on how to do that. That can only enhance what is existing already to some
Yes,
degree.
because with Studio Next, you can have a director communicating with you. You can have several
Yes.
actors working at the same time. You can see each other. It's really like being all in a room or playing video games together. So it's much more powerful and flexible than doing it only yourself at home. So
Yeah. There are
very.
challenges, though. There are challenges, power, noise, and then facilities. I mean,
Of course.
these are general challenges in most developing countries. But as I'm telling you, a lot of people are beginning to take that route of doing things from home than moving to
That's great.
studios. Is taking roots. Yes, it's taking roots.
Talking about dubbing and projects that people do at home, let me ask you: Does the Ritmo band exist in Nigeria? You know the Ritmo band, obviously.
I
Which
know
is
there is my band.
the
Yeah,
ancestor of the karaoke, if you want. So for all our
yeah,
friends
yeah.
online, I remind everybody the Ritmo band is like you watch the picture and you have the text scrolling from right to left in the bottom of the picture, and when it hits the bar, you just have to talk. So the French are doing that since the late 30s. It was invented long time ago. Now we have the electronic version. Before it was on the film. Do they use the Ritmo band in Nigeria? Because this is most of the time when people start with the Ritmo band, they don't want to go back to paper.
Yeah, no, I can't say that Ritmo Band is. There may be one or two people, but it's not that familiar here. It's something that we have to introduce and then adopt and all
Yeah,
of that.
so I think that's going to be our next mission, to show how easy is it to dub with how easy the dubbing is with the Ritmo band. And like everywhere else, people will love that because you just have to read and the text is scrolling in front of you. You are automatically in sync. You don't have to read, you don't have to learn everything by heart.
It's fantastic.
It's a
I mean,
fantastic system.
as a dubbing actor myself, I mean, I will enjoy that much more than any of the things I've done in the past year.
Absolutely. So, what else do you want to tell us about your future in Nigeria, your future of Africa? Because we are at 40 minutes in the call. So, as a conclusion, where do you see Africa going in terms of acting and in terms of dubbing?
Africa is the next frontier in terms of acting and dubbing. Remember, just one country like Nigeria with so many languages, and then it's the same story in Congo, the same story in South Africa. South Africa has 11 official languages, Xhosa, Zulu, all of that. In Congo, you have Lingala, Swahili, Chiluba. So the future can only be great in Africa. What we need is, facilities, training, and on a regular basis, people need to be updated, for them, and then bring down the cost. And some of these things are very expensive, and then so that'll be very much. I mean, just imagine one movie in 32 languages. So that's massive. That's massive. So Jago Jago was all over the place, from Yoruba into English. So imagine from Yoruba into Hausa, from Yoruba into French,
Absolutely.
from Yoruba
Yeah.
into Spanish. So that's so it's the future can only be bright as far as Africa is concerned.
Yes, I remember when I was at Warner Brother and I did big movies like Space Jam, all the animation, even Harry Potter. All these movies were dubbed in 20 plus languages, and it was a massive work to prepare the dubbing in each country, and everything was released. And movies like Harry Potter were dubbed in more than 20 languages. So it's a lot of languages. Great. So well, this is our next challenge, Claude. We need to develop the Dubbing Academy. We need to develop the Studio Next dubbing. We need to teach people how to use the Ritmo band. Well,
we are waiting for you. We've been waiting for you under a big tree. Rain has beaten us. The sun has beaten us. You're not coming, so we don't know when you're coming. That's my question. When are you coming? Because the rain has been beating me. For the past 6 months, I've been waiting for you.
So first, I have to go to Kenya for the Kalasha, and after I will come to Nigeria. So it will probably be either way in end of March or in
Okay.
April.
Beautiful.
So you will see me soon, and we'll continue to talk. And we have
Great.
some people that are taking us for the good dialogue. Thanks, gentlemen, for sharing interesting facts. Thank you for listening. Claude, it was a pleasure talking to you as usual. Merci beaucoup, monsieur. And
merci, Jacques.
And
merci.
See you soon. And in the meantime, continue the great work.
Thank you so much, Jacques. It was a great pleasure having me. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you, everybody. This is the end of this episode number 14. And talk to you later or talk to you next month for the episode number 15. Bye-bye.